Hey, everybody. We welcome you to the Kings postgame show here on YouTube and X. The final score, Philadelphia 139, the Sacramento Kings 118. Napes, Jerry, Ryno. Jerry, I would say this. Thank goodness for Max Ryno, or I don't know what we would talk about a lot of these games.
Wouldn't be much, that's for sure. You know, I mean, every night he shows you really tremendous offensive ability. You know, the great right hand, left hand, soft hands. Certainly can score. I mean, it's also be unfair to not point out that defensively he's just really a weak link. So that's going to be the charge going forward. But then again, on this team tonight, I just thought the defense was just embarrassingly awful. I mean, really, Philly's playing with a bunch of backup guys. Certainly, the rookie Edgecomb isn't, and he looked like LeBron in his early years tonight.
Ryan?
Yeah, Jerry, something hit me tonight watching this game, and I'm so glad that you're here that I can ask you this. The action that they're running for Max Ryno when it comes to some of the pick and rolls and the dives are not all that different from what you would run for Domantas Sabonis. And I guess the question is, Jerry, is the skill set that different, or are they just looking for Max more than they did Domas before?
I think the skill set is different. You know, Domas really is more mechanical in there. And, you know, I think the delivery of Ryno is amazing. His quick little flips. You know, the ball is up and before defenders can even react. We saw that against Wembanyama. I mean, Domas would have a tough time doing that. I mean, Domas certainly does some things much better. But, yeah, I think from an offensive standpoint, I mean, on some of those same plays, I mean, you can throw it high and he can dunk it where it's not as easy for Domas, you know, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think offensively he's got more potential, to be honest, you know, long term than Domas. I mean, rebounding and really Domas is not a strong defender, but he's much better than Ryno right today.
All right, so you say right today. Do you think this is a combination of a couple of things? Do you think it's strength? Do you think it's lack of experience? Where do you think he could get to, Jerry, as the defender in this league?
I think there's a chance he could get to be average. I mean, really, I mean, because a lot of it's effort but I think he's getting pretty good experience. But, you know, the thing that strikes me and has all year, his center of gravity, he's always straight up, which means, you know, you've slowed your first step down by half a step by not getting down in a lower position because you know, basically he's always reacting to the offensive player. And then we see him, you know, by the time he reacts, the guy's by him or into him. So, yeah, strength, experience, just working on technique and things like that, he'll get better. I mean, I think he's got good basketball instincts. That's why I would be encouraged that his defense could get to a, certainly an average level at least.
Ryan, what was the crowd like tonight?
Pretty good. There were a lot of Sixers fans here tonight. Some of them stuck around until the end, but I thought the crowd was okay, to be honest with you, for a game on a Thursday night.
Yeah, we always talk about consistency in this league, right? And so we look at Hayes and his knock on his game, and the reason why he was available is his offensive game is really lacking. And again, in this league, we talk about consistency. And I think tonight, we saw a guy that had that label of does a lot of good things on the court, but offensively, you can't count on him. And tonight, he was just awful offensively. And that's part of, if he wants to stick, again, his deal is not guaranteed that the Kings gave him. That is going to have to somehow get better in this offseason. Agree or disagree?
Well, for me, I'm not a fan, and I'll tell you why. I mean, I like his improved shooting. He really does try to get people involved. But I just like a point guard. You've got to be quick, penetrate, beat people off the dribble.
Yeah.
And I don't see that. He got a couple of baskets late when nobody cared, but basically he can be pressured very easy, and we see that guys can get into him and make him play side to side instead of getting downhill.
I like Devin Carter much better. I mean, I think if you want to look at an upside, Carter's upside is much better than Hayes, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, because I think Carter can impact the game defensively a little bit. He's one of the few guys you say, he fouls too much, but it's because he's aggressive. He's out there getting into guys.
And he can get to the cup.
And he can darn sure get to the cup. I was going to say, for a guy that really isn't a threat, particularly shooting the ball, it's amazing how well he can get downhill to the basket. I mean, because they're giving him that shot, and he can still beat them.
Ryan?
Well, it'll be interesting when he is available to play again, what that playing time looks like between him and Killian, because what we're talking about is 2 point guards that can't shoot the three, right? And Jerry, he can play the defense, like you said. I think he gets to the rim better. I do like Killian's composure with the ball. I think that's something that Devin Carter still needs to work on. But look, what's refreshing to me about Killian Hayes is he's not a shoot first point guard. And I guess we've gotten to that low of a level here with Sacramento basketball that it's like, okay, that's good. We'll take it.
No, he's a good passer if he could get when he can get to spots to find guys. He is a pass first guy. He wants to get the team moving, but I always say to me, he reminds me of Beno Udrih, except he's not as good.
Yeah.
And
that's a good call.
Where Beno could get, at least get to the free throw line for the little stop and pop. He was so good at that. Where Killian, I just don't see it yet. I would love to. I'd love to, but all that's being said, it's not that he can't be a backup. Yeah. He could definitely be a 10, 15-minute backup, but the Kings don't need backups. They got a whole lot of backups.
Yeah, that's their whole team is backups pretty much. Ryan, first chance for the Kings fans to see VJ Edgecomb in person. He did not disappoint.
No, he did not. He is just so good. Usually he plays off the ball. Tonight he played on the ball. And he was getting pretty much anywhere he wanted. Quentin Grimes obviously had a big night as well. But big things ahead for VJ Edgecomb, Jerry.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was a real star in the summer league and, started right off. Obviously, when he and Maxey are together, that's about as good a guard line as there is. And yeah, you see, the draft class is pretty darn good with Flag 1 and Harper number 2 with San Antonio. Harper doesn't get to play the minutes, but you get the impression that he could really put up numbers if he did. And then Edgecomb 3 and Kneppel 4. That's I think the league got it right this year.
So Jerry, really quick, I just have to ask this follow up. As I'm looking at, or I was looking at Tyrese Maxey and Embiid joking around on the court and shooting the ball. Jerry, is VJ Edgecomb and his trajectory not all that far off from what a Tyrese Maxey is?
Not at all. He's ahead of where Maxey was as a rookie.
No doubt.
You know, and so you can just take it for what it is. That doesn't, but Maxey has made a marvelous improvement. You know, how many guards are better than him? It's a small group that are better than Tyrese Maxey, but I do see where Edgecomb is on that same path. And I guess more importantly, as a guard combo, I mean, you could see where they might become the best. I mean, like they'd be in the class of Fox and Castle for sure.
Jerry, I know it's very painful for you to compliment a team that plays down in Los Angeles, but I wanted to ask you, you have talked so often about LeBron James, and you nailed it from day one. He had a triple-double tonight on the second night of a back-to-back with 15 points, with 19 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists. And Luka had 60 points on only 30 shots. Reeves put in 18. The Lakers right now are playing almost as well as anyone. We keep talking about Oklahoma City, San Antonio, and Denver in the West. Are you ready to talk about the Lakers in that group or not yet?
Not yet, but I watched them play Houston in the last couple of nights, and I mean, really, they're playing at a high level. And as you pointed out, I think LeBron really adjusting to being, more of an all-around facilitators as opposed to scorer, and of course Austin Reeves has fit in, and Luka being Luka, and Luka. People say what they want. They talk about his defense. He's not a great individual defender, but he's got good instincts for it. I always say the thing that is really unfair to him is that one of the most important parts of defense is rebounding the ball and getting it back. And there's no guard in the league better than he is at that.
That's good. Great point. Great point.
Hey, Jerry, are the Lakers that good, or is Houston that bad?
I think the Lakers are better than we thought, and I think Houston is not as good as we thought. I think their offense is so limited, and now they've got some guys they miss. I'm not one to think Fred VanVleet's answer to everything, but they could use him. But I think Big Steven Adams is really missed, to be honest with you. Because then they can offensive rebound so much better, and they need to because they missed a lot of shots.
Yeah. Well, next up is Brooklyn, and that's a game that you'd rather lose than win. Brooklyn has got 52 losses. The Kings have 53 losses. Indiana's got 55 losses. Washington has 53 losses and 2 fewer wins. So the Kings right now are the third worst team in the NBA. And if they beat Brooklyn, all right, then all of a sudden, and you got to play Brooklyn again. So I can't imagine a lot of people showing up to the game on Sunday. That's number one. And number two, I mean, if you had your druthers, just go ahead and lose that game. Don't screw things up now. And I got good news for Kings fans. If you come out and play with this type of effort tonight and this type of lack of defensive intensity, you will lose the game because tonight's effort was a disgrace.
I disagree with you. I completely disagree with you from being in the building. They were not good on the perimeter, but this was a game where this team was just bigger and more physical. It doesn't mean the Kings weren't trying to match that. Watching the battles between Cardwell and Drummond, and by the way, when did Andre Drummond eat Andre Drummond? The guy is massive now. I thought the Kings battled as well as they could to try to match that physicality. Precious was looking to take somebody's head off, and he went hard at the guys a couple of times. So
well, I say that for this reason, and I think you hit a good point. Matchups are so important when we talk about the score of a game. But I'm looking at the numbers here, and as we just pointed out, you didn't have Maxey, you didn't have Embiid, you didn't have Oubre Jr., and I understand the Kings are without a lot of players too. But the reality is that the 76ers for the ball game shot over 50%. And almost shot 50% for the game from the perimeter, which is what you were just alluding to. But, I mean, that was a 48-minute – well, I shouldn't say 48-minute, but that was a large stretch of the game where Philadelphia was scoring at will. They were scoring at will.
Well, yeah, the first quarter, that 45-point first quarter, that's, that says a lot. I mean, I wouldn't fault exactly the effort all the time, but the results were terrible. And I mean, because this was basically Philly's B team with the exception of Edgecomb. And so, of course, he was terrific. And of course, there again, as good as he is, he's not that good. And, that's a career high. That's a career high.
Yeah.
Yeah, and from a B team standpoint, from a size standpoint, the Kings were just outmatched. If
Sure.
that's your B team, you're
Yeah.
doing okay.
Well, but they're not going anywhere with that team that you saw tonight. Nowhere until Embiid and Tobias Harris
And Maxey.
and Maxey and Kelly Oubre Jr. That's who they'll be playing, and not counting Paul George.
Yeah, I guess Jerry and Grant, maybe this is what I'm trying to get across. This was a different style than the Kings are usually forced to play, and I wasn't necessarily disappointed at how they responded to it, especially when you're playing two-way guys, a guy in Killian Hayes who just got off his second 10-day contract. I was okay. The results suck, but that was an experience that group needed.
I'd have been okay with it if it had been 120 to 112 or something, you know. But I thought just how they blew them out early in the third was
brutal.
Disappointing. Yeah. I you know. Anyway, that's the way I feel. I love
the fact that we have different opinions, and I love the fact that we can talk about New Works Plumbing for your plumbing services, water heaters, water line repair, sewer repair, water filtration, gas lines. Call the number on your screen or newworksplumbing.com, NEWWRXplumbing.com. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. We're also brought to you in part by Bennett's, Sacramento, Roseville, and the West Side Grill in Rockland. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com and make a reservation this weekend for their outstanding brunch, prime seafood and steaks at Bennett's. That's Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Jerry, you watch college basketball all day?
No, I didn't. I did pick my spots. I watched some, and wanted to tried to get a good look at a Devonsa again. Obviously, they got bounced. I thought he was terrific. They just didn't have enough help with him. And then Arkansas with Acuff. I think he's a riser in the draft, and I'm sure people talking about, well, he's not great defensively. I don't know if he is or not. I think he's okay. But I know one thing, he's damn fine offensively, scoring and assisting and running Cal's team for him. I think he's ready to step in and be a starting point guard in the NBA tomorrow.
Keep an eye on Arkansas. They are getting hot at the right time. They won the SEC tournament. You got John Calipari there. Anything could happen.
Well, and that's why I don't like them. John Calipari's record in the NCAA tournament has been terrible, with normally as good a team as there is in the tournament every year. He's only got one title, and it was with Anthony Davis. He has melted down in the tournament when he was at Kentucky. Let's see what he does here with Arkansas. Another player we're keeping an eye on, and that is, well, I shouldn't say another team we're keeping an eye on, but you talk about Devonsa, Jerry. Ryno, you talk about different players in the league. We talk about Peterson, who we'll get a chance to see tomorrow. Jerry, you like Boozer a lot, don't you, with Duke?
I do. I think he's maybe the most skilled player in this draft. He's one of those guys that every game he puts up terrific numbers. He's not very flashy athletically, but he scores, rebounds. He's really a good passer, surprisingly good, great outlet passer as well. And I think he's one of those guys too that you're going to plug in. He may not be a Hall of Famer, but he's probably going to be a 15-year starter and all that. And I guess my last point on Boozer, what really impresses me, is last year Duke was kind of the number one team in the country, and they didn't win it all, but they're right there. And here they lose Knipple and Cooper Flagg, and here they're right back to the same place, and their best player is Cameron Boozer.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it's at some point you got to give credit where credit's due.
They're a basketball factory.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, Jerry, when Cameron Boozer walks into the NBA, what position is he playing?
He's going to be a power forward, a stretch four. He can really I've said before, and he reminds me of Kevin Love when Kevin Love was about in his third year in the league. Where he's going to rebound, he's going to make threes. He's not going to treetop guys. He's going to get some shots blocked, but he's going to end up getting 18 points on 12, 13 shots every night. and well, a lot of high flyers are playing losing efforts.
I had to write down treetop. That is awesome. Well done, Jerry.
Jerry, we appreciate you. Have a great weekend, Jerry, and we'll talk to you on Sunday after the Brooklyn game.
Can't wait. I mean, I can't wait for the Brooklyn game because it's like in the fourth quarter. What will we see? Will we see each team throwing it out of bounds on?
I'll tell you what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of empty seats. That's what you're going to see.
Well, we'll be watching, though. We'll be watching. So,
take care, Jerry.
All right, see you guys.
Thanks, Jerry.
Oh, he's a classic, Ryan. He's a classic. What? So the crowd you said was pretty good tonight, huh, buddy?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I didn't think. I mean, it was a little bit less than San Antonio, but there were a decent amount of Philly fans here tonight. We saw a lot of Philly gear. We had some Philly fans sitting by us.
Yeah. Well, again, the bottom line is the Kings have a big game coming up on Sunday as it relates
so
to
big.
It's a
draft, reverse.
You know?
It's a reverse big game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is. You know what? That's a good way of saying it. It is a reverse big game. Yes, for both teams.
For both teams. These are the two biggest games the Kings have played since those Dallas back-to-backs.
Wow.
Looking for a different result.
Wow. I don't even know what else to say. Wow.
You know
wow.
what? I have to give Doug McDermott some love. This guy barely plays. He stays in shape. He comes in and just fits in. Talk about a consummate professional. He played a 12-minute stretch with no issues and picked them up. The Kings went on a 17-5 run. Doug McDermott, hats off to you, sir.
And how stupid is it that the Kings have scheduled a game for 3 o'clock in the afternoon head-to-head with the NCAA tournament? I mean, it's absurd.
Might not be the Kings. Might be the NBA.
It's not the NBA. The Kings schedule their own times.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, you're going
unless
up
it's
against
on national TV, and I don't think that the Kings and the Nets are on the national win.
What do you mean, Grant? They're not going to flex it? I lost you.
Hang on. Hello. Got me back?
Sorry.
All right, here we go. You got me. 1 2 1 2.
Yep, I got you now.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap up the show anyway. Do you have any final thoughts?
Well,
you know what? I'm sorry.
Really.
Let me get to Cass.
Hello?
What's up, Cass?
Can Grant hear me?
Grant, you got Cass? Okay.
I can't hear Grant. Wait, Grant, speak.
Yeah, I can't hear Grant either. I thought it was me too. Go ahead, Cass.
Oh, hey, until Grant shows up. Okay, as far as this upcoming draft, like, I mean, as Jaden Ivey threw shade at Sacramento, 4 years ago, like, how are you supposed to know that if these top 5 prospects are even going to show up and come to Sacramento? Like, it's just like concerning of how bad this is.
You don't worry about it. You don't worry about that. You know what? You don't worry about who wants to come to Sacramento, who doesn't. You take the best.
Grant's cutting it out.
Yeah.
You take the player that you want to take.
You're cutting out there, partner, but I think we got the gist of it.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. You got me back, right? I got a short or something, but you don't worry about that stuff. You just take the best player you want.
Yeah, a lot of money too if you're being picked in the top 4. It's a good reason to come.
And a dream come true, regardless of what team you're going to.
Amen. Well said. Yep. Exactly right. this still is the NBA, even though some nights it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Good job tonight. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3:00.
All right. Thanks, Dapes.
All right, to everyone else, thank you. Sorry for my mic problems. I'll get it straightened out. Have a good night.